Top of the day to you. I'm Johnny B, and in this video I'm going to answer the question, who the fuck is Bob Does Sports? How did this distinctively East Coast voice become a seemingly overnight sensation in 8+ year time frame? How have a group of self-proclaimed clowns been able to go from relatively no ones to one of YouTube's fastest growing channels on the platform and collaborating with some of the biggest channels out there? Along with what makes their content so enjoyable to people that they seemingly have built an almost cult-like following across all the internet. But also, was there a bit of bait and switch by a production company to help accelerate the promotion and growth of the channel's brand? I'll answer these and more in this video. So with all these questions, I reached out to my top research guy, Charlie, to get to the bottom of this. Well, we'll get back to him later. In Randolph, New Jersey, one Robert Berger was born March 8th. That's way too far back. I'm gonna get this video over with before TaylorMade comes out with a new faster, straighter, farther driver. Wow, it's too late. Alright, let's fast forward this a bit. Okay. And that's how Bob Does Sports was the first to play golf on Mars. A little too far. Later, he would go on to college to play baseball. While in Florida in late 2014, he would start regularly trying out his comedy routines in the local comedy clubs and bars. During this time, he would start to promote his comedy shows on Instagram, and with the adaptation of video to the platform, he then began to start to upload comedy bits and commentary on sporting events along with bets going on at the time. Eventually, this would lead to the young man going out what? Charles, where's the rest of the script, man?
Sorry, what?
So hard to find good help these days. Why? Out west in LA, his cousin had been working at a luxury hotel, and Bob had grown slightly envious of his cousin's lifestyle, regularly mixing it up with celebrities and Hollywood's who's who, along with sitting courtside at Laker games. Bob saw this as an opportunity to possibly help advance his comedy career. He would be hooked up by his cousin with a job at the Four Seasons in Beverly Hills. This move would ultimately lead to a solid foundation for a content empire. Working at 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. as a front desk agent, during his downtime, he would edit his videos for his Instagram page. It's at this time he would meet the first of his cast of characters, Joey Coldcuts. Working at the Four Seasons with Bob as a manager at a Michelin star restaurant, they would meet the first time when Bob's manager would complain to Joey about the music being too loud at the restaurant and was affecting the people at the front desk. After the manager complained to Joey, he would go out to the desk and ask the man working if he thought the music was too loud. The man would be Bob, who would proclaim, "No, I think it's great. You probably turn it up a bit so we can hear it out here." This is when Joey knew he met someone special. This would eventually lead to the two regularly hanging out and have times where Joey would get off work a few hours and wait for Bob to go on break just so they could play ping pong together. Charlie, how's that rest of that script going?
You get it when you get it.
I'll get it when I get it? But I didn't know when they start to get their big break.
I need to work on these biscuits for my team.
Fine, I'll go somewhere and do it myself. Okay, maybe the beach in January wasn't the best of ideas, but this should do, I think. Consistently grinding away on Instagram and growing his reach and following, it wouldn't be long until success would reward the hard work. Bob would have one of his first viral videos happen when in February he was at the 2018 Genesis Open with a buddy. After he had a taste or two, we'll say. Frank. He would start to heckle some of the PGA pros. And when I say heckle, I mean this was about as vicious as a golden retriever puppy. However, when he asked his buddy old Nicky Chippenputz if there's one guy he would heckle, who would it be? He would answer with Bubba Watson. And that's when an internet star would be born. The Not Today Bubba video happened.
Not today, Bubba. Go get him, Bubba. Love you. Not today, Bubba.
Not knowing the comedy he had just created due to having, we'll say a taste or two.
I'm drunk. You're drunk. Everybody's
It
drunk.
wouldn't be until later in the evening he realized the gem that he had on his hand. That would be the start of something greater than he could have ever imagined. By the end of the summer, he would have amassed almost 25,000 subscribers on his Instagram. This newfound trajectory would even start to have him being recognized at work. Over a year and a half later, in June of 2019, after grinding to a very impressive yet modest 60,000 on his Instagram, Bobby Berger would start his own podcast, The Brilliantly Dumb Show. With a distinct voice and love for old sports talk radio, the show would have its own distinguished style and feel to it. Around the end of this year, Bob would develop an offline relationship and friendship with another character from Jersey on Instagram by the name of Jersey Jerry. This seemingly unhinged sports fan and degenerative gambler would soon become an integral part and the essence of the podcast with his antic and oddball views on life. This would also lead to Bob being able to find someone or well, we'll say find him, with a bit more guidance with what would help with the production of his show and take it to the next level. After years of building and selling various social media accounts, moving back and forth between New York and Chicago, Benny the Jet would message Bob about how the production sucked and he could help with it. This message went unanswered. Knowing he saw something special and different in the show, he knew he needed to get onto the ground floor of the show. He would again message him with a video he had edited for him. This time would be different and he would receive a message back from Bob. This proved to be possibly the most important move he could have made. With Bob and Joey in LA, Jerry in New Jersey, and the Jet in Chicago, Bob had the beginning of something that would start to catch the eyes of major eyes and look to take Bob to the next level. In late 2019, while still grinding at the Four Seasons, Bob would see Liz Gonzalez of Barstool Sports at his hotel as she was about to start one of her wine walks with Sean Merriman, and he would approach her about his Instagram and telling her how he thought it would be a great fit for the sports and comedy internet empire. She would politely let him know she thought it was decent and go about her day. Bob wouldn't think much of this interaction and would continue working on his videos and ideas for his Instagram. Till a few months later, he would receive a message that would truly change his life forever. Hey, if you're enjoying this video so far, go ahead and give this video a little like so it spreads to others, and then let me know if you want to see more videos like this by clicking subscribe over here somewhere, so I know people outside of weirdos like me actually enjoy this kind of stuff. Alright, Charles, cue up that reel. Bob had always stated how it would be a dream one day to work for the internet sports empire Barstool Sports, and that dream was about to become a reality when a controversial figure and founder of Barstool, El Prez, aka Dave Portnoy, reached out to him about working for him in New York. Taken back by this massive opportunity, he took a moment to think over this life-altering choice. At the same time, he would also be sought out by a much less known production company by the name of Bro Bible, a smaller company that was more of a lifestyle website for millennial men. This is when, after talking with his managers and ones close to him, he decided to take a massive risk on betting on himself. And in January of 2020, he would sign a one-year contract with Bro Bible and continue producing his podcast, YouTube videos, and blog for them. He felt Bro Bible allowed him the chance to stay out west and keep his IP, intellectual property, meaning he would still own all his rights to his Brilliantly Dumb brand and continue to build the brand up along with all his friends without having to give it away to a company and starting over from scratch if it went south. Spoiler alert. It would eventually. This move opened up an opportunity for him to interview the likes of Mario Lopez, Pat McAfee, Pauly Shore, Joel McHale, and a number of others. By the end of his first year of podcasting, blogging, and various other forms of content, it's around this time he started to take notice that his golf videos with his old friend Joey Coldcuts regularly outperformed all the other content. During this time, his Brilliantly Dumb channel had grown from just under 500 subscribers to almost 10,000 subscribers after its first year of existence. He decided it was time to take it to the next level, and this choice would pay off at the beginning, but he would quickly learn this might have been the move that could derail everything he had worked on so far.
Not as derailed as the B storyline in this video
Seriously, Charlie, you know you could kind of help me with this thing a bit. With his deal with Bro Bible coming to an end, he found what he thought was naturally a fit with Entourage's Kevin Connolly's newly formed media company, Action Park Media. With real backing behind it, after a year of busting their backs for Bob, he was finally able to get his associates Jersey Jerry and Benny the Jet paid for their hard work. Within the first month of signing to the new media company, he was able to see a 50% increase in his YouTube subscribers to 15,000. However, everything wasn't really all rainbows and unicorns.
Originally, we went to Action Park together, and we knew fast that
within a week, we both knew.
We knew. Yeah.
They would end up leaving the company that same year, and this would ultimately cost Bob his longtime contributor and friend. After 2 years of working together on the podcast regularly, with no more financial backing, he was no longer able to pay any of his associates any longer. Jersey Jerry would have no choice but to leave the show, as he had previously been sought out with a 6-figure contract by Dave Portnoy at Barstool Sports, and without Bob being able to no longer afford to keep him on board, he'd have to part ways and head to New York. During this time too, having just moved from Chicago to LA to work with Bob, Benny the Jet ended up staying with Bob and found ways to make ends meet, all the while working tirelessly with Bob to help them to get to that next level. With him doing things, this would pay off in the end, and unbeknownst to them, they were about to break through their ceiling with the next project. Though Bob was dealt with a bad taste in his mouth after the failed experiment, he was still able to keep his IP for the Brilliantly Dumb show, and he would continue to build it up. By September of 2021, he built it up to 19,000 subscribers and nearly 4 million views on his YouTube channel, and his Instagram had just over 2,000 followers. followers. He would carefully make his next move as he knew there was still so much room for him on the YouTube format to grow. This move would begin something he, or frankly probably anyone, never thought he'd be able to do within a year's time frame. In late 2021, Bob would sign with the media outlet Doing Things Media, home of popular content brands such as Middle Class Fancy, Shithead Steve, All Gas No Brakes, and it had over 25 main media accounts with 65 million followers across Instagram. With such massive accounts as Drunk People Doing Things, Animals Doing Things, Dogs Doing Things, Cats Doing Things, along with some others that were well-known names that would get rebranded. Remember this for later in the video as some very interesting twists occur because of this. This signing would pay off sevenfold once the ink dried. While still having his own show, Doing Things Media would approach him about another channel for them. Sticking with the mantle of Doing Things, this would be the birth of Bob Does Sports. The first video would drop September 30th of 2021. Now with backing again, Bob and Benny would hit the road and start off with a Man in the Streets video at the Ryder Cup. With some decent viewership, they would move on to other sporting events such as NFL tailgates, the Major League Baseball World Series games, and even refereeing some wrestling. They would notice after about 3 months of posting various forms of content that the videos of him and Cold Cuts out playing golf as previously would bring in drastically higher numbers than anything else they would do. On December 9th of 2021, they would post a video that would ultimately permanently set them into the golf YouTube realm. That video, which as of this recording is still their highest viewed video, and it was called I Pranked My Best Friend Into Going to the Worst Golf Course in America. With 1.6 million views to date, this would be the video that would change the trajectory of the channel from a man in the street to a golf channel. If you've seen this video and you've ever wondered to yourself, gee, how did it get that bad? Well, let me tell you, I have the answer for you with this video here. I'll have a link at the end of this video to answer all your questions about this course. Alright, the shameless plug is over now. Sorry. With their common man's approach to golfing mixed with observational comedy and just some old dudes ragging on dudes, this approach came off naturally and relatable and made the characters infectiously easy to love, as they would go on to do regular match videos against each other or funny challenge videos that were unique to YouTube at the time. This would steadily see their numbers of views and subscribers rise consistently to numbers they have never fathomed. In their first 3 months of starting the channel, they had gained 4,300 subscribers with 132,000 views. However, once this switch caught on to the YouTube algorithm, they would have amassed over 61,000 subscribers and 2.8 million views 3 months later. And it's at this time an old familiar name would take notice and reappear into the picture.
You said my name.
Damn it, no, not you, Charles. Why does a middle-aged man have a cat? Why the fuck do I have a cat? So in April of 2022, having already had all the members of Barstool's golf content creators from Foreplay on his own podcast over the last year, it seemed like a natural fit they would collaborate together on a video together now. Only there was one problem. Foreplay was known for regularly playing 4-man scrambles against PGA pros and other 4-man scramble teams such as Paige Sporanics and Darius Rucker's teams over the years. But Bob Does Sports was only Bob and Joey Coldcuts playing, and they needed to find a few others. With Benny the Jet stepping up to be a member, they reached out to an old friend they had recorded a video with once before a year earlier, and that man would go on to become a legend. He would go by the name of Fat Perez. Hailing from Virginia, Fat Perez would start as a casual viewer of Brilliantly Dumb's funny Instagram posts, and in 2020, with so much time on his hands, he would sign up for Bob's Patreon and start viewing Bob's weekly happy hours as a way to make time go by while he was at work. Having recently been given the name of Fat Perez on the golf course by some colleagues, he signed into the happy hour with this username. This is where the former D3 golfer's life would start to change forever. With the name catching Joey Coldcut's eyes, Bob would call out on the young man to turn his cam on, and what they saw they couldn't believe in all his glory. Perez would slam a beer on camera while saying in his public accountant public commercial real estate cubicle. The next year, with restrictions lifted and Bob and Joey making golf videos again, they would all happen to be in Pinehurst at the same time and would have Perez join them. Unaware of his golf past, they asked what his handicap was, and their jaws dropped when he said it was around a 1 or 2. Not believing him, they hit the golf course and he would show them just what he was made of. Fast forward a year later, and Bob was looking for a fourth to fill out their team. This choice proved to be the greatest thing they could have ever done for their channel, as the Foreplay video would go on to be one of Foreplay's top viewed videos, even surpassing the video they did with the actual Pat Perez. Instantly, Bob knew he needed to bring Perez on full time and offered him a spot on the channel. With his wife hesitant about him going,
like this could turn into something, and she's like,
you're an idiot. Like, you're a clown, and you're going to join this clown show with them.
So they set guidelines for him to join, and by July, Perez would be quitting his job to join Bob full time. One of his first videos they would do together would be with Bryson DeChambeau, and would result in Perez being gone 4 of the first 6 weeks of signing. After telling his wife he'd just be gone for a week. With their success skyrocketing throughout the year, sponsors were always bound to follow. With having his first sponsor as Windex, Bob would go on to have a number of sponsors over the years, including one of his more popular ones would be Roback, that led to him filming a hilarious commercial with them. Though there is a current sponsor, some would say they pulled a bit of a bait and switch. I mean, I'm not saying it, some would. Being part of Doing Things Media means they had some help with access to some of the biggest Instagram accounts. One account they had access to already had a huge following. It was known as Golfers Doing Things. With no fanfare or announcements, with nearly 1 million followers, Golfers Doing Things would suddenly one day become Breezy Golf, with no one knowing why. With an uptick in regularly posting Bob Does Sports clips on the account, it wouldn't be until late November we would see why the change, when Bob and Fat Perez would announce their new merch line called Breezy Golf, selling hats, polos, sweaters, and other golf accessories.
$86 for a polo. Nothing against the polo. It seems like good material, but wowzers, that ain't cheap. Put that thing in the wash and it's toast.
It would show the giant reach this creator has after 8 years of overnight success.